Yeah, g'day shooters, Aussie Shooter here again, and I haven't made a video for a while now because I was still trying to digest everything that's occurred in the election, and also at the same time as licking my wounds, just like many other shooters are. So anyway, unfortunately, Carl Houseman, we were unsuccessful in getting you a Senate seat. It's unfortunate, but what can you do? We've got to really go back to the drawing board and have a look at what's going on in the community, why so many shooters didn't vote for the shooters, and I think that needs to be investigated. However, the surprise package from the election was David Leyonhjelm from the Liberal Democrats. Now, I'll be happy to admit that I had no idea about the Liberal Democrats or the Outdoor Recreation Party or Stop the Greens Party, all these parties that are affiliated or basically owned by David Leyonhjelm. I had no idea about these parties until one day before the election, and mainly because I just had a lot of things on my plate at the time. But the first I've heard of them was this story here, one day before the election. Telegraph, September 6th, there you go. And this is men of many parties have lived in their sights. Basically a story about David Leyonhjelm and Peter Whelan. And it's actually quite a favourable write-up. It's actually a pretty good write-up where they demonstrate all their beliefs and all what the policies that they stand for. And now this comes one day before the election on page 6 and basically takes up almost the whole page. And it's actually a really good write-up, and I think it has contributed greatly to the amount of votes they got, and congratulations to David for winning that Senate seat. And the Liberal Democrats are heavily pro-gun, and it makes me ask the question, why didn't I know about them? And basically what I'd like to go back to is I'll refer to the SSAA pre-election paper here that they sent out with the magazine. As you can see here, they've got Shooters and Fishers, Country Alliance, Catter, Fishing and Lifestyle, Family First, Nationals, Labor and Lib. But where is the Liberal Democratic Party? Where is Stop the Greens? Where is the Outdoor Recreation Party? Obviously there's a bit of bad blood and infighting. So I like to ask the question, why is all this fighting going on between pro-gunners? Is it because of party differences, ego differences? What's going on? One thing I know for sure, it's certainly to the detriment of gun owners. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the Shooters and Fishers did not preference the Liberal Democrats or vice versa. And if they did, they may have gotten an extra Senate seat, which would have been a huge win for us. It would have really meant that we definitely have the balance of power in the Senate. But it didn't happen, so you know, I'm pretty pissed off. I'll tell you right now, I am pretty pissed off. I'm pissed off at myself because I didn't know about these blokes, not as much as I should have, and I'm pissed off that there's so much, the amount of infighting and you know, differences in policy, egos, whatever it might be, has led to the to a detrimental result to gun owners. Now, I'm glad that David got a seat, excellent, and he has received a lot of favourable media recently on radio and on TV. And they've already tried to heavily attack him on his beliefs on gun rights, but I think he stood up for himself pretty well. And he didn't pull any punches either, he went straight for the jugular, concealed carry. Which, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing. A lot of people will say, oh, well, hang on, he's up there. You know, we don't want to go straight into concealed carry, but you know what? I don't think it's such a bad thing. And he explained his position quite well in what's going on with Israel and the United States and concealed carry and why it works. So, yeah, it's good that these ideas have received such a big platform. You know, such a high recognition in the media. But anyway, this raises a lot of questions, guys. There's a couple of stories here as well. As you can see, that the media is trying to cheapen the Senate wins by the Australian Motoring Enthusiast Party This bloke from Victoria, who's just an average Aussie like me and you. And isn't it wonderful? I think, isn't it really great that we live in such a wonderful country where the average Joe can really have a go at politics and get there, you know? And I think that should be celebrated. But the snobs and the elites in the paper think it's just disgusting. And I think they're disgusting, to be honest. And here we are, Andy says here, and this is just basically in the opinion section of the Telegraph, September 11th. Here you go, right there. Okay. And the paper's doing its best to print as many comments by the readers out there that really cheapen the vote, the Senate wins for these parties. The Australian Andy says the Australian Motoring Enthusiast Party looks like as loopy as the Greens. God help us if this new mob ever hold the balance of power in the Senate. Andrew says, I was one of the many who voted for the Liberal Democrats when I meant to vote Liberal. Not clear enough, and it will gift them a Senate position they don't deserve. Well, I don't know about don't deserve, but a lot of people have been saying that David Leyonhjelm got in on the donkey vote. That people are too stupid. They didn't realise that they didn't realise that they weren't voting for the Liberal Party, and I think that's just a ridiculous statement in some parts. Is I think the electorate's smarter than that. They know who they're voting for. But in the other part too, the papers made a huge effort to make sure that people knew how to vote Liberal. The Liberals were in the Y category, and you know, and everyone was at the polling booth handing out how to vote Liberal flyers. Like, I mean, to suggest that the Liberal Democrats got in purely on the donkey vote, I think it's just ridiculous. Now, there's no doubt that some people would have made a mistake. Yeah, absolutely. But how many people? There's no way to tell. Could have been 100, could have been 1,000, could have been 20,000. There's no real way to tell. And if they did make a mistake, well, you know, maybe they should just learn how to read. So anyway, here we go. Once more, you got the Telegraph, Monday, September 9th. There you go, right there. It's a pretty good write-up about David. But the story says, luck of the draw as the other Liberals fluke a Senate seat. So they're basically downplaying his win of the Senate seat. Even though they had a pretty good write-up about him the day before the election, they're saying that he fluked it. Yeah, so, but it's good because it gives him a lot of publicity. He's a pro-gunner, he's pro-freedom, low taxes, all that stuff. And it's a pretty good write-up. So here we go. Once more, we've got Tuesday, September 10th, right there. Okay, so you can see a picture here of Ricky Muir. They're trying to obviously make him look like a clown. He's playing with kangaroo poo in one of his YouTube videos. I mean, really, which one of us in their life hasn't done something stupid or funny or ridiculous or, you know, disgusting or whatever it is? I mean, we're all guilty of it. We're all only human beings. And this, I think, this effort by the paper to make him look stupid is actually in his favour. It makes him look a little bit more human and normal like the rest of us. So anyway, the snobs are out there trying to, you know, cheapen their votes, but good on him. So there we go. But so what do we do from here? Where do we go as shooters and fishers? Do we continue to support the shooters and fishers? Do we support the Liberal Democrats? I for one am seriously every single day questioning why I continue to be a member of the SSAA. In my opinion, and feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, they do absolutely nothing to further our freedoms, our gun rights. I know that they put a lot of money behind Katter's party. It's unfortunately tanked. We can't do anything about that. Bob Katter just managed to hang on to his own seat, and it's a good thing because we've got a pro-gun voice in the lower house, and we've got a good pro-gun voice in the upper house. But they put a lot of money into Katter's party, and that's fair enough. And they do provide a lot of money for, you know, the shooters out there, for gun ranges and all that. But they do absolutely nothing to promote pro-freedom, pro-gun policies. And I'm struggling every day to find a good reason to maintain my membership, because I don't have to be a member to maintain my license, and I would be willing to bet that the majority of their members are members purely for that reason, so they can maintain their gun license. And I would question the amount of money that SSAA receive from government. Why do they receive this money, and is this money just hush money? So anyway, I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about the infighting, the egos, the policies that are in the way to the detriment of all gun owners between all these parties. I think really they should set aside their differences and realise what we're faced with. And what we're faced with is quite serious. And that's if it hasn't happened already. A fundamental, permanent change to our culture and the way we see freedom, or not see freedom at all. So if something doesn't change soon, if we don't put gun owners out there in a positive light and increase our gun rights and remove some of these communist-like restrictions on gun ownership, then we're heading for a very, very dark place as gun owners. So that's all I can say. But anyway, I welcome all your comments, and I'm hoping that you can put some thoughts behind them and see where do we go from here. Should we write to the shooters and fishers and tell them to get behind David? Should we write to David and tell him to get behind shooters and fishers? Should we continue our membership with the SSAA? Should we write to the SSAA asking them to justify why we should continue to be members? Now, there's a lot of questions to be asked, really. I would like to basically know what is the direction that will be followed from here by the shooters and fishers. Where do they stand on policies? Because really, at the end of the day, when you look at it, the shooters and fishers are nothing more than a two-policy party, whereas the Liberal Democrats have policies that reach a much broader section of society. They will never vote for a reduction of your freedoms, and they will never vote for an increase of your taxes. And I think that has very, very broad appeal, and it's something that needs to be looked at. I am a libertarian at heart, and I'm not shy to admit that. I do support the shooters and fishers, but they're a little bit way too conservative for my liking, I'll be honest, and especially with their stance on violent video games. I mean, really, that's just it's just stupid. I mean, I'll be the first to say it. I don't mind saying it, and if you think I'm wrong, fine, tell me I'm wrong in the comments. But there's absolutely no evidence to suggest that the violent video games produce more violence in society. There's no study out there suggesting that, and for them to continue to oppose it is just ridiculous, really. And in fact, to be honest, I think violent video games probably reduce real violence, because at least people have an outlet, somewhere, something they can do to, live out their violent fantasies rather than doing it in real life. That's my opinion, anyway. But yeah, I think the shooters need to have a really good long look at themselves and see where we go from here. And I also like to question the campaign. The campaign was, in my opinion, a horrible campaign. Steve Lee was going around with all the boys in the bus, and they were in Condobolin and all these country places. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I just thought to myself, well, the majority of gun owners are in the cities. What on earth are they doing in Condobolin and Tamworth and all these places that they went? Like, I mean, there's just no people there, really. I mean, it's not like we're going for a lower house seat in some electorate. I mean, we're going for an upper house seat. We need to appeal to as many people as possible. We need to be amongst where the majority of the people are. And I just thought the campaign was left way too late and was completely ineffective. And on top of that, I'm looking at YouTube and I'll do a search on shooters and fishers. There's not a single campaign video. There's nothing. Before the election, there's just nothing. It's not that hard to make a video. I mean, and tell people what you stand for. There's nothing there. So really, I'm really disappointed in the whole effort. So anyway, guys, look, I'm not scared to admit when I'm wrong, and I certainly hope that shooters and fishers aren't scared to admit that they've made mistakes if they feel they have made mistakes. and I think that the way forward really needs to be to come clean with the voters out there on their websites about what direction that we should be going ahead in, and where we stand in the next state election, because the way it looks like with the way that the votes were tallied up, it looks like that we'll be lucky to hang on to one seat in the next state election. So that makes me worried a bit, I'll be honest. And thankfully, the Greens didn't lost their majority in the upper house in federal parliament, which is great news for us, because I'll tell you right now, if they did get that majority, it was a very good chance that they will be pushing to scrap your right to own semi-automatic handguns, to ban them, to have a buyback. So I don't think that will go ahead now, which is great news. But make no mistake, their vote has dropped dramatically, but it may rise next election. Who knows? So anyway, guys, Aussie Shooter signing out. SSAA. You got a lot of explaining to do, and I'll see you later.